Hello and welcome to the Mobile UX Marathon, a series of weekly webinars on how to improve your mobile UX and conversion rate on mobile web. Today's webinar title is about Introduction to Google Optimized Statistical Methodology. We will cover how to read optimized reports and how to apply optimized segmentation on your Google Analytics data. We've also added some helpful resources in the deck. And please share your questions on the UX Marathon website or join us for live streams to get your questions answered live. The website has also more information on upcoming live streams, resources, and decks. Where to find the link to our website? The link is in the video description. Before I begin, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Maja. I'm in Google London, and I'm Senior Solution Consultant for Google Marketing Platform. What does that mean? Is that I help our clients to get the best out of their Google Analytics data and to get the best out of Google Optimize to improve their website's conversion rate. Today, I will be talking you through the Optimize methodology. But before we get started, let's just recap from the Optimize Getting Started video. Optimize uses Bayesian statistics to give you intuitive reporting and to find a winner. What that means is that Google Optimize not only gives you information about which variant performed better, but it will give you an information on by how much. Data is collected through Google Analytics and is analyzed in Optimize proprietary model to determine winners. That means that we will expose you improvement, probability to be best, and probability to beat the baseline. What that means, we'll go much more into details in a minute. Also, we will cover how to view experiment data in analytics to perform more robust analysis and segmentation. Bayesian statistics allows us to make informed decisions much faster. What that means is that we do not require a certain amount of traffic to get you to the winner of your experiment. Optimize looks at consistency, and that means that we look at conversions and inform our model every day about the new state. With the informing models every single day, that means that we can calculate much faster the winner. And with Google Analytics, you can go deeper into the full impact of your customer journeys. What is actually Bayesian statistics and Bayesian inference? In a statistical world, there are two different directions. One is called frequentist and one is called Bayesian. Both are right depending on what you need to prove from them. Bayesian statistics use Bayesian inference, and it's actually a fancy way of saying that we use data we already have to make better assumptions about the new data. Data we already have is often referred to a prior, and we are allowed to refine our model or our perception of the world as we get more data. In layman's terms, what that means? That means that if I forget my phone in my house, frequentist method would require for me each time to go into every single room to look for my phone. Bayesian uses priors, where I would use my prior knowledge where I left it last time to go and check into that room first. But what does Bayesian mean for Optimize? What we do is we measure the consistency of each variant conversion rate. We use Bayesian inference to allow us to compute the probability of any of the variants you've created beating the original, because you're comparing your new version of the website to the old, to answer the probability of any of the variants to be best overall, and to give results faster to low traffic experiments. What that actually means is that we keep track of conversion rate every single day. And on each day, we update the model for the conversion rate with the previous date data. That means we're consistently on top of what the future conversion rate might be. What do we mean by consistency? So we take daily conversion rates for each variant and give it as an input to our models. Here's a very complicated graph in comparison on how average conversion rate is actually different from the variant true conversion rate. If you compare the daily conversion rate, which is always high in the beginning, simply because users love things that are new, you can see a big spike. On the first 2 days, conversion rates are as high as 10%. But as the users get the newness fatigue, they actually drop on 1%. If we would use the average conversion rate, the high conversion rate on the first day would significantly skew our knowledge of the world. And we would say that the average conversion rate is probably somewhere higher than 2%. But if we look the true conversion rate and model it by consistency on Bayesian statistic, and we input every single previous day into our models, we actually find out that the true conversion rate is somewhere near 1%. Okay, I've told you some fancy words in the statistical methodology. What do we give you as a result? What is actually probability to beat baseline? Probability to beat the baseline is actually what it says. It's how probable is that this variant will be better than the original. Original is always the baseline. Is that same as confidence? No, but it can be used in the same as a substitute for the same metric. What is probability to be best? Sometimes probability to be baseline and probability to be best are the same. But probability to be best is actually which one of the variants has the most probability to be the best out of all, no matter if multiple one of those are beating the baseline. But how do we actually give you the result? We look for some conditions to be met before we call an experiment. First thing is we look to see that there is actual traffic to the experiment each day to make sure that it's a valid test. If it's not a valid test or there is no data, we will tell you in the interface that something gone wrong with your experiment and that you should look at your website or targeting rules because there was no traffic to the experiment. We wait until a test has run for 2 weeks or 14 days. Why do we do that? 2 weeks is, as a rule of thumb, a good amount of time that we can say that seasonality or the newness had nothing to do with the experiment results. For example, if you do an experiment, you want to go over the phase where users really like the website because something is new, or if you get 2 cycles of working days or weekends, so we wait for 2 weeks to get the consistency. We also look at the metric called potential value remaining, or in the layman terms, regret. How much would you regret stopping the experiment in this moment? What is the potential value that you are losing if you stop the experiment now versus continuing the experiment going on forever? If the regret is small enough, or if the potential value that you would gain is small enough, we will stop the experiment and give you a result. All of the metrics in Google optimized interface are modeled, and they have a Bayesian statistic model applied on them. But actually, underlying it's all optimized data is actually Google Analytics data. Google Analytics data gets collected in Google Analytics and reported into Google Analytics. Once it's reported into GA, we apply modeling and then report it into Optimize. That's why there are slight delays between data in Google Analytics and in Google Optimize. And that's why the data in Google Optimize and Google Analytics will not always match. Once again, Google Analytics reports on what's actually happening on your website all the time, while Optimize reports what's happening in the experiment and models the numbers. But how to use what you know about your Optimize in Google Analytics? Well, it's simple as creating a segment. What you need to do is you need to isolate experiment sessions. An experiment session is a session where experiment fired and all subsequent sessions for that users whilst the experiment is live. So you need to create a segment that will expose the experiment ID you want to look at and the variant ID you want to look at. That segment can be applied into every single optimized report. That way you will see how experiment session performed versus all of the sessions, or how experiment sessions performed when it comes to pages or site content. Basically, you can compare variants across all of the Google Analytics reports. Also, pro tip, you can use that experiment ID and variant ID to create an audience and use it as a segment for remarketing. To see more resources, please check Think with Google, where we publish our case studies. If you're interested to learn more about the methodology and how to get started with Google Optimize, look at the Optimize Help Center. It's equipped with a lot of troubleshooting tips and tricks, and with a lot of frequently asked questions specifically about methodology. If you're still getting started and need video guidance, please check Analytics Academy playlist, which is called Get Started with Optimize. It will set you up for success and get you started with Google Optimize. Once you've mastered the Optimize basics, please look at our quick tips playlist, also on Analytics Academy YouTube channel. Get your Optimize practice on a next level and use it to build a successful culture of conversion rate improvement in your company. Once again, please join us in the live stream, where we will be covering case studies on A/B testing with Google Optimize and answer all of your questions which you might have after watching this webinars. Thank you once again.